Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I'm just listening to Mwenda and the other panelists discussing about the failure or the stressful situation Uganda Airline is going through. If you look at the trend of things, the Uganda Airlines, sorry, is experiencing this stress and struggle due to the and and is a total reflection of all other organizations, institutions of Uganda, which are also going through the same thing. Uh, and we can say that this is deeply rooted in the way our society have been managed by the first family, because they have not put pride in building institutions, independent institutions, hmm? independent institutions, so that these institutions are able to independently take decisions without political maneuvers, without political influence. Every institution is stressed. It is not Uganda Airlines alone. Every institution is stressed and struggling because they are not independent and not capable. The competence levels of every institution, whoever is working in it, if it is not independent, not protected, but very independent and given it a mandate to manage its on business competitive levels, it will always fail. And we are seeing it happening in every area. It is only in some spaces of interest by the first family that when they are interested in that kind of organization, they put in their interest and make sure profit is made, because profit directly goes to them, which is not good for us taxpayers. And the biggest problem is that the taxpayer who pays the money is the least person in involvement in an organization that manages it. So lack of involvement, lack of equality, lack of respect, lack of justice, lack of and political maneuvers in all these institutions, we see everything failing. I can't blame. I can't blame Uganda Airlines. The essence of having Uganda Airlines is wonderful, is very wonderful. But on what grounds? The ground is shaky. The ground is political. Politics change. Politics have influence. Political maneuvers, they all affect the movement of business and economy in the nation. So if the politics of a nation are not is not steady, is not democratic, is not open, is not straightforward, Uganda Airlines cannot out of nowhere, out of blue, be independent, be able to do miracles. We didn't expect Ugandan Airlines to do miracles because the rest of institutions have been hijacked. Everything is hijacked. No independence. Even the policeman to arrest an office, to arrest a person, a culprit, they first seek the highest office to know. They don't follow any rules. They don't have any procedures. Even the procedures they have are just book benched. They don't use them. They just follow the political decision of someone. That's why we have people rotting in prisons. No bail, and there's no one to ask. The president of a nation should be asking, my people shouldn't be in prison, because it is not a good business approach to have people in the prison. All all energetic, all people who are resourceful, eh? Most of those youngers who are very courageous and willing to support others are put in prison because of greed, power. It can't work for like that. It cannot. So things will still go crumbling until the last block of the what? Of the house. So Ghana Airlines, for the little we have tested, it is a good gesture. You are so wonderful. but you cannot live alone. You cannot stand by yourself, because even the decision to capitalize, to hire, yeah, to boost the institution is politicized. So how can you expect that? There's nothing. And you see, the politics of Uganda is not geared at growing the economy. It is geared at destroying the economy, destroying the institutions, destroying the banks, destroying the parliament, destroying, you know, only one institution that may be working in Uganda is army, and it must be also stressed, because if other institutions are struggling, even army's institution would be struggling. And I would say it is good to have army, but if the army doesn't do the right thing and or is involved in activities that is not supposed to be, then we shudder. Everything will go down. So for Uganda Airlines, please don't shoot at them. Shoot at the right person. Don't look at Uganda Airlines as an institution, because Uganda Airlines institution was given, was delegated. It was not devolved. It doesn't have powers, independent powers to take decisions. No accountability. Yeah, who to account for? They don't account for Ugandans. No, they account for one individual, the first family. And what do you expect? We have 47 million people. They are looking at it. Yeah. Now, using the Uganda Airlines, Uganda Airlines would have been wonderful. The airplanes are very nice. I looked at the services. Look at the services. Look at all the foods we have in Uganda. Now, food is modernized or is prepared to serve continentally. No. Yeah? The service in the airline is totally minimal. Yeah? They treat people like babies. Yeah? We have traveled in different airplanes, airlines, but the way they treat people, the way they feed them, the way they give them drinks. Those who want to drink alcohol, they drink alcohol up to the maximum, or to the levels that at least someone knows he's on a plane. Food, I just wonder, food. We don't have food to provide in a plane. You look at the food in the plane, and you ask myself, the type of beer. Uganda has a lot of beer types, but the type of beer is so even is not even is not there are no choices, there are no options. They have one type of beer, and of course not all, we don't all, but in other places you find different varieties of alcohol so that people can enjoy their journey. They have paid, and you should consider that cost when you are really calculating all your things. So that one aside, I wish to say, if Ghana Airlines is going down trend, I don't have anyone to blame. I will blame those who are influencing the development, the management, the strategy of the Uganda Airlines as institutions. And I repeat, Uganda Airlines stress and struggling is not independent of other institutions. All other institutions in Uganda are all crumbling because of one major thing, greed. And not greed from the people themselves, even people running it, but greed from the first family, which has put nose in everything and not managing it very well. If they were doing the right thing as the first family in all the institutions, that would be wonderful. But this type of greed of pulling everything to your side and you don't mind about the rest of the nation is totally unacceptable. And what we are yet to see is the crumbling failure and failures. They shall keep fixing here and there, yeah, hiring and firing, but it is very, 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 very important that the independence of boards of management, the independence of institutions. Let it be police, let it be judiciary, let it be parliament, let it be any government organization. The failure of it is attributed to the first family, which has tried to learn to be the business managers of everything, and eventually, and they cannot manage. They don't learn. They think they are the best. I have not had these boys training to be competent in managing. Yeah? Me, I don't know. I'm not a doomsday. I'm not really playing for bad things to the nation or to the institutions. But I play that whoever is in charge of the first family or whoever is connected should let these people know that managing things as a family level, when you're managing a state or a country, it won't work. We need standards. There should be standards, there should be policies, there should be guidance on how organizations are run. The moment you go below that, then we shouldn't say, yeah, you see, you start hiring people and firing them, blaming them, when you know that you was the one who has caused the problem. If you appoint directly a CEO of Uganda Airlines without going through due process, yeah, independent due process, and he source a competent CEO, yeah, with the right knowledge, yeah, to manage the institution, and with the right board, very technical team that knows about what airlines is or what the project is, you're bound to fail. So I'm sorry. And it doesn't mean that Ugandans are not trained. They are trained. But when they come to serve or work, they find issues on the table. The chairs they sit in are not chairs for the institutions. They sit when they are worried. They sit when the decisions they are taking cannot be implemented. Everything. So you just wonder. So what do you expect? Now we are looking. We're looking at the airlines is failing. Airlines is failing. Yeah. If the foundation is so weak, how do you expect the missile to go off very far? If you fire a missile from the weak firing point, it won't go far. It may even stay there and burst in your hands. So most of the things in Uganda are bursting in your hands because we have not really gone down deep to make sure we give them the good base and the good firing point. So if Uganda Airlines goes down the drain, who to blame? Who to blame? You cannot blame the CEO only. You have to blame the first family. Because the first family is, according to what I'm saying, is the business. They are the business owners. Not business owners, but they are in charge of businesses of the government and on behalf of the nation. And if they are not straightforward, upright, and they are doing things to their own interest, we are doomed. And we sincerely doomed. Because, and it has not started yesterday. It has not started yesterday. No. It is growing. It has grown. And there is a culture of there is a poor culture of this. There is a culture of corruption. Umpakachi, Korerani. Even Ugandans don't know who they work for. You will say Nkorerani, Mpakachi, Nzenfunirawa. Such a things. Nzenfunirawa. Kati tip yafuka conditional. You have to first give a tip and things work. Look at the hospitals. If you go to the hospital, like you go to Mulago, it's like you are picking your death certificate. When you hear someone referring you to Mulago, that means you are near your grave. What is this kind of? What is this? And I think Museveni, or the first family, has lost the ground. They are not in touch with people. Don't just dwell on those people few who are just coming, kneeling, begging. No. It doesn't work. You need independent people, you need technical people, you need to make sure they are competent, to manage the things. Where you live or where you work, so the offices are open. I just jump from my computer, I go to another computer, I go everywhere. I can sit even in the CEO's office. When I'm a junior staff, I sit in the CEO's office and I start working. And when he comes, he will not just he will sit on the other side. But the ownership of the offices, of the institutions, one cannot even allow you to sit on his computer. You may end in fighting. So the transparency level and the transparency is opaqueness in the businesses we are doing back home is created to manifest corruption and greed until we open our eyes, because we are not the only competitors around. No, we are not the only competitors. We are not the only one running. When you are running Uganda in a funny way, Uganda as a country, which is supposed to be competing to other neighborhood countries and then to the rest of the world, you will have really killed it. But how did we reach here? How did we reach here, really? It all comes from failure to implement what the first or initial intentions. When the president went to the bush, he went on not on so many issues. Some maybe were implied, but one issue he went for is elections were mad. The government was not doing anything. Human rights had gone down. People were killing each other. Thieves. The institutions were being used to harass people. No human rights. So the guy went to the bush. Everyone now, whoever was there by then, understood the disgruntlement he had. But now, when he came out, he turned everything upside down. He didn't travel even 2 miles. After 2 kilometers, he changed the course of justice. He disbanded the intentions and started doing his own things. Now, as far as we are concerned, when you look at the police of Uganda, I think we are the least performers. We rig elections, we beat people, no human rights, people are in prisons. Prisons. How can you have 70,000 culprits in prison and you are happy to say that you have 70,000? 70,000. Is it a farm of animals? You can imagine manpower of 70,000 people, good ones, are in prison, and you held high. Me, I was like, this thing doesn't work. Actually, when you look at it, there are some few things like the first family should not be talking about, like the president of Uganda, President Museveni. Some vocabulary should be out of his mouth, like when he goes to the podium and starts speaking things. What is it, like justice, equality, nepotism, racism, inclusion? All these words should not come into his mind when he's about to speak. Because I think when he goes to the podium to speak to everybody, in his mind, he knows what he's saying is not the right thing. He is very, very aware. Because you cannot talk of justice when people are suffering in the prisons and they are not getting justice. They are not getting bails. They are not getting, they are not being brought to court to defend themselves. So when you talk of human rights, people have been beaten for nothing. Like in campaigns, you see people being stopped from going somewhere. Yeah. So everything has gone bonkers. Uganda needs prayers. Uganda needs everybody to open up their eyes. Tweba kuturo kale mweba wachiri muruti. Dream that when you're sleeping, that you think they were brought to sleep. You cannot sleep for generations. Yeah, you cannot sleep for generations. wiba kuturo wakiri oluuta ekintu kirimu amagezi ogiveeyo oluute nti Museveni wamugyeko ogende ntebe omugyeko wakiri okasukeyo ejinja ni kino kiki mututamye ensi ate nga Uganda Uganda kinyuma bagamba Uganda kinyuma. There is no country good as Uganda. Everything is in there, but everything is being mismanaged. Why? How did we reach here? Where do we breastfeed this kind of torturing, this kind of human rights insensitivity? Where do we get this kind of? Now look at the opposition leader, Dr. Chiza Besigye. He's rotting in the prison. And I look at this man who's coming to the podium and starts talking about the justice and human rights. I see in his head. Now, the first family leader, think about this. Whenever you come to podium, these words you should not use these words at all, because you will never fulfill them, and whenever you speak about them, you are lying, you are hoodwinking the public. Justice, human rights, equality, involvement, nepotism, racism, those terms or those vocabularies, please don't think about them. And whenever you use them, know that you are telling lies, and people are seeing, because you talk of justice and they know people have not had justice. You talk of that you shouldn't be racism, they know what you have done. And you have done it intentionally. That's what I'm saying. The Ugandan Airlines struggling and stress situation in which it is deeply rooted in the failure of management of the state by the first family.